Okay, so this morning was so weird. So we started our normal 9 a.m. meeting and we were just catching up for the first few minutes. And then out of nowhere, across Karen's,
Well,
okay, you go.
I was just going to say,
This involves you, Lizzie.
since meeting you, since doing all of these events with you, the one who's probably the most resistant to feeling she had any trauma or drama to think about is experiencing a lot of it. And Robyn and I had a conversation last week. Her husband's going to LA and is meeting with some people that I used to work with, that I used to be very close with. And one of these people in particular is working with Jeff on a project. And it was a huge trigger, because I haven't heard her name and really thought about her in years. And so as I'm running over the weekend, I'm thinking about her again. And I realize how much trauma and drama and sadness and unresolved betrayal is still in me that I had really buried for years. Wow. And I remember thinking to myself as this came up again, like, there's been no other person, like even my ex-husband who betrayed me, this one was more painful because of the depth of the relationship that we had. And so Robyn started our conversation this morning just talking about the fact that Jeff was going to LA. And before I even had a chance to talk to her about this, because I wanted to share it with her since it came up, and I keep, my throat chakra is like really on fire. Before I even had a chance to say anything, it was like there was a pause when she mentioned that he was going and meeting with this person. And did I want to go? Did I want to meet them on Sunday? Because there's a good chance I'm going to LA next week, which is totally a shift of events that happened yesterday. That was not on my radar at all. And now all of a sudden it looks like I'll be going next week. And so Robyn was like, oh, if you're going to go on Sunday, would you like to meet up with Jeff and these people? And there was a pause before I could respond. And these balloons appeared on the screen.
But like, first of all, she started all of a sudden, like literally over Karen. It started going red and then green. And then and I was like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden it was balloons that looked like bubbles. They looked like bubbles, literally just going over Karen's entire body, just over her body.
I keep doing this because
I was like, what is going on? I wish I was recording it. And it was literally over her for maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds. It was like weird. And we couldn't figure out what was going on. Neither of us were touching anything. I didn't even have my background on at the time. She did. So then we both stopped. We were just freaked out by that. And she goes, and what's even weirder is that I need to tell you what is
I've never
triggered.
told Robyn a story. I've always kept it to myself.
So Robyn's bringing up this woman's name, having no idea that there's any betrayal or anything buried in you. You're just coming to.
I honestly thought they were good friends, because what I know of, and this goes back to Karen and I now.
Why would you be inviting her if you knew?
We know each other now 6 years. And from the time that we really got to know each other, I had brought up where Jeff worked, and it turned, again, we have very strange links to each other. And one of them happens to be there's several, but one is that Jeff used to oversee the Chicago office of a company that Karen worked very closely with, the LA office. And it was a small company. So the fact that there would be any association is bizarre. Okay. So Karen, can you go?
Yes. So this company, I adored these people that I worked with. They were like my family. They literally came and stayed at my house when we would do brainstorms. Like, we were very close, and we created content that I just love. It was like the dream job for me, to the point that she and I created a show called Inspired. It was like we were creating content. This was like the early days of my thinking about what this all could be. So she and I were so aligned in that way. So anyway, fast forward about 5 years into this experience together, there was a series of spots that they had proposed to create, and I disagreed with the creative approach. I felt like it was too much money being spent. So I stood up and said, I just don't think this is the right thing to do. And that was when I realized that there might have been some artificiality about how they were treating me as a client. And I started to look behind the scenes, and I felt that there were things being done. And I said something about it. It was my role as an executive producer to worry about those things. And that caused a major rift with everyone, this team of people, and they called me out on it. It was like an inquisition. They had this big conference room. I was alone, and I had to explain myself and why I was differing with them. It was one of those moments where I really felt like I was on trial. And I told Robyn, I was so proud of myself because instead of going in there feeling defensive or feeling like I was wronged, I went in there with total love and total.
Wow.
I led with admiration for all of them and how much and how great they were and what a great team they were and how they were trying to bring creativity to this, but that I ultimately disagreed. And it was one of my proudest moments. But after that, it was never the same. And I ultimately ended up moving on to another role. And then they fired everybody who was my team there afterwards. And I heard from them later that there was so much artificiality between the relationship that we had that I didn't see, that they had said things about me. And it was so devastating. And now I'm obviously feeling it, but I moved on. I moved on to another role and I just put it behind me. So bring it full circle. So when Robyn brought up this person's name and this opportunity to see them again, my first instinct is like, gosh, I would just so love this not to have happened. I would so love to this relationship to have been like a long-term great one and that it would still be there. But then I said to her, what do you do? It's like an ex, right? Like somebody who you thought you knew that turns out maybe you didn't and you've put it behind you, but then you have this opportunity to run into them again. I didn't know how I'm really feeling. That's what I said when we first started. I feel that backstab of pain right now. And I don't know what to do with that.
Okay. First of all, that's heartbreaking and hard. And I think when you say, and I got over it and I moved on, maybe start by changing those words of, I kept moving forward, but I didn't realize that it was still in me. And
That's
now
what we were talking about this morning. Yeah.
like now I choose to clean it up because now's the time to clean it up. And I can't tell you how many women I work with who say that there was some moment of a lineup and they're alone. Usually it happens in like 5th grade. And there's some deep version of either like they get to school and they realize none of their friends are talking to them, or they're not allowed to sit at the lunch, like mean girl kind of thing happening, which is what happened. Like you called everyone to the mat. And instead of being like, we're busted, it was like, let's mean girl her and make this. And really they were fighting for their survival.
Of course. Yeah.
We're busted. What do we do now? But make her feel crazy. Like it's gaslighting 101.
Yeah.
Gaslighting was cool.
Yeah.
And I've heard so many themes of betrayal coming up in the past month. It's wild.
Mm-hmm.
Like the exposure of relationships we thought we had, or the way we want to package something in our memory, and then either truth coming to light or memories for you coming to light. It's not like you learned something new about it other than, oh, I didn't actually move on from that. I just tucked it in that little corner. And now being faced with dealing with it. And the way that like I was dealing with my experience of that was to look at, okay, these bad things happened. It felt bad emotionally. And I felt betrayed and I felt like I was made a fool and I was embarrassed and nothing really happened. I didn't die. My feelings were hurt. But beyond that, nothing really happened. I survived. I'm hurt, but I was okay. Mm-hmm. And I think the more I could shift into, she was doing her best, he was doing his best at the moment with what they had access to. That's what was best for them. It might not have been what was best for me, but it was for sure what was best for them. And in the spirit of being human, everyone's going to do what they need to do for their own survival and their own forward projection. And maybe there was some soul contract of, we're all going to go in on this together. Yeah. And it's going to suck a little bit, but like at the end of the day, it's betrayal and you're okay. So it's all about finding your way back to the compassion and the love for yourself, for them, for the people who didn't know, for the people who didn't stand up for you, for all the different parties. How can you sit in their seat at that table and find compassion and love for each seat?
Yes, I can feel that. And even in retrospect, I heard back from some of the people who were in the room about how proud they were and of how I handled the situation. So I don't feel like that sense of embarrassment as much as I feel this sense of loss, I think.
Yeah. I don't mean the embarrassment of being in that room and being what I would view as pummeled by that many people. And the realization that it was inauthentic, that you, right? Like for me, it was more of, oh, I thought this was 100% legit. Meanwhile, you and other people know it's not. That's embarrassing that I didn't catch that.
Yeah. So for anyone who is listening and relating, right, to this, what would you say? And still literally like this pain comes back up, which you buried.
I can feel it in you. It's like high heart to low throat.
It's legit.
Yeah.
How do you release? Like to this point of Robyn saying to me, do you want to go? And I don't know what to do with that. Why is that coming up? Like, why is this
I mean, of
it's
all
choice. It's a clear choice I could make.
Yeah. So to me, the only choice that we have right now in all the craziness that's going on is, does it feel like a hell yes or a fuck no? And if it's one or the other, it's do nothing, right? If it's not a, oh my gosh, yes, this is the time for me to go and be in it and let myself see that I'm okay. And Jeff will be there. I'm not alone this time, but I can go and I can say, look, whatever the intention is, and maybe we like hash that out, right? What's the intention? It's like seeing an ex. I remember my ex wanting to meet up. And I was like, when people meet up and catch up, we ask about their family, their friends, their job. And like, I don't want to know any of those things. So no,
and
I'm
that's
good.
actually what we talked about right before we got on with you today. I was like, what would be the intention? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
We were talking about what would that be for an ex. And I know for me, when I think about it, it's curiosity. And actually some of that I would love to know. There's a lot of people that I have dated that are not on Facebook or Instagram. And it would be, there's nothing else more except that I'd love to tell you about my life. I want to hear about yours. And actually that does sound interesting.
Yeah.
So if that sparks something for you. And otherwise, to your point, where there are some relationships that I actually wouldn't want to know and I don't care, then you just say no. I think that if you have to know what your intention is, and it has to be, you can't expect anything. It would just be, what can you control out of the situation?
The bigger piece, I think, is for you to remember, this isn't necessarily a one and done. It's not the only time you can go and clean this up. And if you're not ready right now, and your body is saying, if you're already dreading walking into that room and your heart is sinking and your stomach hurts, that's your body's way of saying that doesn't feel good. And that's your inner being's way of saying nothing there for you right now. Like you might go and realize it wasn't as scary as I thought. And it's the whole facing of fear and all of that, which is fine. But in the spirit of, we don't need our abuser to apologize. We don't need the victimizer to apologize in order to be whole. We just get to be whole.
Yeah, totally. And maybe this is just coming up because you've never talked about it. I know you pretty freaking well. And we've talked actually about your working there. And I always thought it was just the best of memories. I would never have brought it up had I known. And so I feel like it's just for you to even get it out.
I think so. I think there's so many things that have happened to me this year that have been like full circle moments, which are giving me an opportunity to go back and revisit good things as well as not good things. So I think this is more about me. What I want to make sure after doing all of this work with you guys and in general is I'm not leaving something on the table to do in this lifetime, that I'm not leaving something undone. And I'm trying to discern if there's something left undone. Have I not forgiven enough? Am I still carrying this feeling of betrayal within me that I have to, maybe that's all it is. It has nothing to do with seeing her in person, but maybe it's the work of releasing that.
I think it's about us doing edits around being betrayed. I think it's around cleaning that up because I think there is other stuff. And without getting too personal, I think there's stuff that I can think of from your childhood that would connect those two things. Of this had to come up in a much bigger way for you to see. One of the big themes that's been coming up for clients lately is this feeling of not being taken care of the way that they would have wanted to be taken care of as a little person. And the feeling of, I know my parents did the best that they could, and it just wasn't what I needed. There was no way for them to have known that. And watching friends and family parent, I can see that. But as a little 6-year-old or 4-year-old or 2-year-old, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so I think that there's still potentially some little nuggets in there for us to clean up from childhood that are coming up now because it's time to clear them. And it needs to get loud enough. We know this. It needs to get loud enough that you notice it because you are a really tough, strong woman who will say, it's fine. I'm going to take my toys and go play somewhere else. And I wish you all well and namaste. And I'm going to move on. And I moved on and it was fine. And your soul is saying, yeah, it's fine. Now let's upgrade from fine. Let's clean that up.
Absolutely.
I also think as you step into this thing that Seeking Center is going to be, you need to know that stuff is cleared out. Because you're having the vibration of the fear of being betrayed.
That's what I said this morning. I said, this is coming up so that, because I wouldn't have known this. And this is right. Because I'm like, this is actually probably preventing certain things because it's there. And there's this part of you that was dormant, that there's a fear that like, I'll betray you. Someone else in our team may betray. There's got to be that level. of energy.
As you create this dream job 2.0, like I got so screwed when I had my dream job 1.0.
Absolutely.
You guys.
And just purely saying thank you. Like we're just working through it now. It's not that it's so late in the game. It's not why didn't I see it sooner? It's not why didn't I clean it up? This is the exact moment to look at it. That's what I think is so spectacular and cool.
And it literally showed itself by turning her into bubbles. Like, what the hell? Balloons, really, right? Let it go.
When you said balloons, I saw that as a celebration of
It was balloons. It was balloons. It was like if you were sending somebody a message on your phone, happy birthday balloons.
That's what it
was. And it was like,
picture.
But why over Karen? There's not touching anything. It's Halloween. What the fuck?
Wild.
Wild.
So we'll schedule edits and we'll get that stuff cleaned up because there's a lot underneath there. And really, like when we think about it, we haven't done a session, like a group session on the fear of being betrayed, but we got that list.
Yeah.
We've all had it, whether in this lifetime or the past, or we've heard stories of it, or we know, right? Remember the Sex and the City episode when Charlotte won't give Carrie the money because you don't mix money and family or something like that. We all, if it's not us, it's an uncle or a parent or someone who has something. So even if it's not ours, there's ancestral and inherited and all that stuff in past lives. So it's impacting you now. So it's present.
Yeah. You're calling me out on that about, and I think we all do it to some extent, but I'm like the queen of the fine, of happened, move on, happens, move on. And
do you feel like you actually, even with your first marriage, do you feel like you had released that?
I do, but I feel like there has to be some imprint of that still for me because it's continuing to show itself. I'm actually thinking now about even relationships that I had once I went through my divorce with boyfriends who also betrayed me after that. And it was so painful because of the marriage situations. It's definitely there. It's definitely in there for sure. But again, I always feel like, I'm the oldest, right? I know how to steer the boat. I can move on from there.
I think you've always thought that it was your job to stand up straight, lift your chin, and go have a great day. Instead of, I was just in a meeting with 8 to 10 people on one side of the conference table and me alone on the other side. All I thought when you were telling that story was she must have cried so hard when she got in her car after that. Did you?
Tell Lizzie about the driver.
Oh, yeah. So I literally flew in to LA the night before and I had this driver pick me up who was just, I knew he was an angel. I just knew. He was so sweet and kind and like knew my story. I think I did tell him that it was a really hard meeting for me to go to. And I was really scared. And I'd forgotten my phone. And he's, I'm going to take you back to the hotel. I'm going to sit here. I want you to just quietly go. It's going to be right there. I'm going to be right here waiting for you. And then we're going to go and I'm going to drop you off and I'm going to wait for you.
Eating? Oh my gosh.
And he was there on the other end.
It's like the dad we all want.
Yeah. And he was there and he took me to the airport. And I remember telling him I was really proud of that. I was brave. And what people said to me, the ones who I weren't the leadership team, but the other ones who said that they were so proud of how I behaved and how I stood up for myself, but that I was kind. And so anyway, it was, yeah. But it's funny, whenever we talk about angels in my mind, I think about him that day.
I had a driver like that too. I was going to Mexico for plant medicine retreat. And I woke up that morning, I'd never had back pain. I woke up that morning and I couldn't move. Like my whole upper back, every time I inhaled, it felt like pain was radiating out. And my uncle, who's a neurosurgeon, I called him on the way to the airport. I was like, I can't move. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. He's okay. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how you're going to handle it. And I was going to Mexico. Like I was terrified. And I was getting out of the car, the Uber, and I hung up with my uncle and the Uber driver said to me, you're stronger than, and you're going to be okay.
Wow.
I was like, are you sure? And I was sitting at the gate and at the last minute, I checked my phone and it was $99 to upgrade to first class. I was like, yes. And that never happens to me. And it was all okay. But like when you have those moments, it feels like source is just sending you a wink and a nod. Like we've got you. We're still here. Yeah, just breathe. We've got you.
I felt that day. That was.
Yeah. Okay. So for your throat, and how to clear some of that out because you have to move on with your life for the moment. If you can visualize like a cylinder moving from where the mid throat, like where a man's Adam's apple would be, all the way down to the top of your heart center. Just imagine there's a cylinder there. And now imagine it's like a straw that has a clog in it. And see me at the top crown of your head. And imagine that straw goes all the way up and through to the top crown of your head out like another foot. And I'm literally pulling that plug out of your throat. Okay. And you might feel that flash of heat and that sort of pain in your gut, like in your solar plexus, just below where your rib cage splits. Okay. Go ahead and blink open your eyes. The way that you like to channel when you write and when you journal, we want you to do that. And give me a word specific for her. They're saying, go back to being that woman sitting in that conference room and have different versions of you sitting alongside of you to match the amount of people that were across the table from you. So here's your strength. Here's your protector, different versions of your kindness and your love and your compassion, and almost expand yourself to fill up your side of the table and just play in that and then journal from that perspective. And it's not about forgiving them. Of course, it's about forgiving you for whatever you're determining that you didn't handle the right way, which it was exactly the right way, of course. But going back as an elder, looking at that version of you and communicate with her. Let your spirit sort of channel why it was exactly right and why it needed to happen. Because it feels like there's some questioning in here of, but why me? Why like that? Why would that happen? And you and I can powwow on that. It was more about getting you out of that to get you to the next and the next, because you wouldn't have left.
You know what I think the thing with betrayal is, why it hurts so much, is because you're sending love and then it's cut. Like you just feel you're trying so hard to send the love to somebody else. And then you find that it's not only not returned, but it's taken from you and made into something else. And I feel like that's what I'm feeling. Like it's for me, that's how it's like, I'm always coming from a loving place. And the fact that it was just not real on their end or was blocked by their own fear is what hurts the most.
And it still have been real, even though it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to. In a yes and.
Yes. Yes.
Because that, I think, is how we heal.
Yes. That's great. That's
like in a breakup with your ex-husband,
it
wasn't that because he betrayed you, everything else was a lie. It was that there was a lot of love there. There were things that he loved deeply. And there were things that he did that made you feel betrayed.
Wow, that's really helpful. That's a really good way to look at it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. That's great. Thank you. That's helpful.
Yeah. Because especially, I think, go ahead, Rob.
Those moments are real.
Right.
The moments that you share with someone that you feel love and that there is joy, those are real, unless they're a sociopath. But you know what I mean?
There's something. What I want to know or do with this experience right now at this point in my lifetime is also know, what was the lesson for me there? What was that? Because clearly you're right. It was a contractual thing that we all decided needed to happen. So what did we learn and focus on that?
That's also your thinking brain wanting to categorize it so that I know if it was this, then it won't happen again. Then I'm safe. That's the little girl in you saying, if I see it, now I can program it. So when I smell it coming, it won't go there. And that's where we want to say, but sweetie, you were safe anyway. You had this moment that felt shitty. And really what you proved to yourself was, my integrity is number one. I'm going to call it out, even if it means burning everything down. I'm still going to survive. You guys are going to learn. I will be the one to set this place on fire. If that's what it takes, I'll do it.
And that's actually what.
Yeah, you did.
I think that's what happens in most betrayals.
Yeah.
It's that, okay, I'll set this shit on fire. That really hurts because it's the last place I want to set on fire. But okay.
You're so right. Like I told Robyn, the woman who took my place when I left had the same experience.
Of course.
And she actually followed me to Discovery. I ended up bumping into her and she validated me. And
and I think that was the lesson.
Yeah. Yes.
It wasn't you. It wasn't that they did it to you. Like I have always felt when I've been betrayed, I always felt like it's because I'm a chump. It's because I wasn't smart. That's the embarrassment and the shame within me. I also grew up in a household where it was very much about play or be played. Life is about survival. You're either going to get played or you're going to see it coming. Don't be a chump. And so it was actually my rabbi who I sat down with and I was like, what do you know about forgiveness? And he was like, you are an open-hearted, kind person. So it's either you stay compassionate and kind and open-hearted and get played and who gives a shit, you get back up and you keep it moving, or you become cynical and you're not cynical. So you're going to get played and who gives a shit? And I was like, but I'm horrified. And he was like,
and with forgiveness, the first person you have to forgive is yourself.
It was the hardest thing for me.
It is. And that is not how forgiveness is taught or thought about. And I remember working with a Jan Van Zandt and we were doing a forgiveness course. And she's okay. So the first thing is you have to forgive yourself. I never thought about it that way.
You're so right. You are so right.
And that energy of releasing, I remember at the time, it stayed with me from that moment on. And that day in my own life, I felt like I had wronged somebody. And I was very embarrassed and had a lot of shame around it. And I felt karma came around. So now I know how it feels. And then I realized when talking to Yana, this was now many years later, I was in my late 30s. I was like, oh, I need to forgive myself for that whole situation. I'm driving home. I out loud forgave myself. And I said it a couple times, walked into my grocery store, saw that person I hadn't seen in 20 years. And they were like, Robyn, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. Can we
come on?
Right?
I am not kidding you. It changed that actual whole experience was a life-changing experience for me because it showed me the power. Nobody would believe me. So I had to call Jeff and he knew my story. He knew that whole story and what I felt about it. And I said, you are not going to believe what happened. And
he must be like, life with you as my partner is so wild.
yes, it was to this day, I now have many crazy ass stories, but that to me, and I was saying to Karen, by releasing that energy and by forgiving yourself, who knows what's going to come. To me, that was just like winning $1 million. That's how it felt to me.
Yeah. We need to do episodes on the fear of being forgiven and the fear of forgiving, because both are scary, right? Because for me, the fear of forgiving, I thought then it would happen again. And the fear of being forgiven to me felt like then it would happen again. Like I had to hold it or I'd mess up again.
Wow. And I think
it all comes back to not trusting me. I also just want to say this is a huge thing that I've been noticing. When we tell our stories, most of us speak in second person instead of first person because it puts it outside of us. So Karen, as you were saying, when you feel betrayed, you feel like you gave all this love. And that's not how I felt. So instead of saying, when you feel betrayed, you feel, to say, when I feel betrayed, I feel. It gives your inner child that voice back. It's a huge difference in the way that we speak. And I see it everywhere. And I've noticed that when clients say it to me, I almost feel like I get a little bit nervous. Don't put that on me, because you're speaking it as a fact to the person you're speaking to, because you're using the word you.
That makes so much sense.
It's a huge difference, especially with kids who are like slurping it up in programming. I've actually started to say to people, that's actually not true for me. Is that true for you?
That's great.
Okay. Tell me what you think of this. I don't know what I was dreaming about, but this morning I woke up before my alarm.
This is that you were sleeping. This is that you're, yeah.
And a lot of weird stuff has been happening. There's been I feel like a new channel is opening and new sort of access points are happening. And I've had really high highs and really low lows in the past 2 weeks. Part of me thinks I'm just PMSed and it's fine. And this morning when I woke up, I looked over and it was like there were 2 spaces next to the side of my bed on my right. And one felt like a blank spot. And the next one felt like there was an entity or a ghost, like a man standing over me, really tall and like a white. And it's also Halloween. So I'm like, do I just have like skeletons and ghosts on the brain? And I closed my eyes and I was like, no, it's just a shadow from the door, like where the door opening is. And then I was like, it's not.
No.
I'm fine. But I was also like, who was that?
Yeah.
What did it feel like?
It felt heavy and stoic and not necessarily scary, but scared me because I was like startled and otherworldly. Like it didn't feel like a past person or someone standing over me. It felt like an entity. And I was like, okay, first of all, why? What? I'm just curious, Robyn, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I feel like it feels very like wizardish, like a wizard.
Yes.
That's what it
like a Dumbledore.
Yeah, that's exactly what I picture. That is literally what I picture. And it's almost to me, first of all, I think this entity and this wizard is always around you.
Oh.
And I don't necessarily think that they meant to be seen this morning, but they are there watching you. They are there helping you along. this journey.
It felt like they were like changing cords or something from my foot up, like my right foot. It felt like they were like reprogramming something in there. There's new access coming in. You need a new operating system. Like the past few days, I felt like my batteries are being changed to go from like double A's to D. Like I'm going to be able to, this sounds insane. It feels like I'm going to be able to move more power and hold more power. And so it feels like we need to change your wiring to be able to hold that too. And I was just like, hi.
Yeah, I don't think you were meant to see it.
I don't either.
And I think definitely it was good. It was powerful. It was nothing.
I wasn't scared.
It was nothing bad, but
Yeah.
that is scary. We could be as like programmed into this as we want, and that's still like a little jarring.
Yeah. Yeah. Karen, what were you going to say?
I didn't see it, but I felt this entity, whoever it is, had to almost weight himself down. I felt like weights on his feet to be there with you. So I think you're absolutely right. In doing the work, he had to weight himself down to be in your energy field, and he just didn't have time to get out of it. And I completely agree with Robyn. I don't know if he's, but it's his role now to be with you now, to do the thing that he's doing. And I feel like tremendous wisdom, tremendous infinite power within him.
So something that happened this morning on my normal walk in the park, I felt this thing of, I can feel all the different infinity, lifetimes, parallel universes. It's like I can see the little slates all. And I've had that in ayahuasca before, where she showed me, like when your computer freaks out and 1,000 windows open up, she showed me that once. And she was like, this is how big we are. Your human brain isn't designed to understand it, but this is what's happening. And it was like this morning, I could feel like this is just this one little frame in a massive field, which is wild and trippy. It feels like my work is about to shift pretty significantly.
I'm so glad we're recording right now.
Yeah.
Me too. Oh my goodness.
I've also, my software like that I use for scheduling people. I had a new client reach out to me, like a friend of a friend, who wanted to work together. The first session we had, the energy alignment we had, I was channeling all kinds of stuff for him. And at the end of it, I've done all this work with plant medicines, and he's worked with the same medicines that I have. And the whole session felt like significantly elevated. And he's okay, let's do this one-on-one thing. I'm not sure about it. I'm nervous, but I know I'm ready, and I know there's no stopping it. And so I set up his session, and now every single session I book comes through in his name. So instead of it coming from Acuity, it comes from his name. And I'm like, am I just short circuiting things now? We're like, everything is starting. I was trying to text a friend who has an Android phone. It won't text him. I had to text his email. He's like, what are you, my parents? What are you doing? I'm like, it doesn't work. Something in the sky is broken and I can't fix it. So yes.
You should look for that, Lizzie, because you're being rewired. You may find a lot more of that happening.
Yeah. I feel like there's a power grid situation happening.
And now that the eclipse is passed too.
Apparently, I know we're recording this on Tuesday, the 31st, but there's some weird stuff that's supposed to, even with the eclipse's influence, like today, there's some sort of spontaneous and weird shit could happen out of the blue, just so we know. And so it's already happened. It's already
spontaneous good shit or scary shit, because I'm supposed to drive to the burb. Should I not?
I think it's how you look at it is how I would say.
True.
Like,
yeah.
It's more like sudden things may be dropped in your lap. And so it's more that kind of stuff.
Okay. Last week, I think it was Saturday night was the eclipse, right?
Yes.
I came home from being in the suburbs the night before. I wasn't even that tired or anything, but I did all this like self-care stuff spontaneously and slept for 11 and a half hours. And I woke up on Sunday in the worst, like exhausted, weak, couldn't necessarily pull myself back into my good mood, but knew I wasn't supposed to. I was just supposed to vibrate on it. And the feeling of, again, is this PMS or is something happening? And there's all this stuff coming up of like my love addiction and all kinds of other nastiness coming up and out. And then yesterday I woke up and I was like, whew, what was that? That was insane.
And I think Sunday in general was energetically draining for most people that I talked to. I don't just, in our area too, it was like super overcast. Like it was like, it matched the mood and people didn't want to leave their house.
Yeah. Yeah.
it was a weird day. It was a weird day. So that's interesting. I know, Karen.
I just want to say thank you guys. You continually like are there for me and help me do this work, which I didn't know how to do.
And by the way, it's for all of us.
Yeah.
There's a reason it's all coming
really
up.
are helping
And thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Got you. I'm going to put my wings on you today.
Thank you.